Welcome back, guys, or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and I'm currently driving the last of the 4-liter V6 naturally aspirated and bulletproof reliable 5th generation 4Runners. And this is a really fun truck, and it even sounds pretty good. That NA motor doesn't necessarily seem like it wants to rev out, but when it does, it sounds pretty good. It's hardy, it's healthy, and in just a little bit I'll show you how fast it is, 0 to 60 the way that this one is configured. But these are likely going away. It's basically been confirmed by the time that I'm filming this today that this is the last year of the 5th generation of 4Runner. This is also the last vehicle in North America that still has a 5-speed automatic transmission and even has a physical engagement for the 4-wheel drive. Although there are still solenoids and electronics involved, this is a really fun vehicle. It's still built in Japan. It's only about 16 feet long and has over 80 cubic feet of cargo capacity back here, meaning that full-size adults, even when you don't recline the back seats, can fit back there comfortably. This can do everything or a lot of things really well, with the exception of getting good gas mileage, because as you can see here, the average on this used one with 94,000 miles is 16.7. And it does have a heavier 10-ply, pretty aggressive Razor all-terrain tire, but it's actually in the stock 265 7017 that this came on, which is a 17-inch wheel, a 31-inch or 31.5-inch wheel and tire. But it does nosedive a little bit when you come to a stop, as you guys could probably see that and could probably hear that. But this is a TRD off-road, and it looks like it's been well taken care of. I do want to say that these cloth seats are in fact quite a bit more comfortable than the sport seats I drove in that army green one that I posted about a month ago. I did a video individually, a more detailed review of that, as well as a comparison to that to a 2024 Subaru Outback Wilderness, because a lot of you guys who like reasonable, practical, but off-road capable vehicles compare these two, even though this is a body-on-frame truck and that's a sedan that's been lifted and extended into an off-road wagon. There's a lot to love with, whichever one you decide. But these are near and dear to my heart. When I was in college, I had 2007 FJ Cruiser with body armor and a TRD Magnuson supercharger, and that was really fun. But when I finished college, I felt the need to sell it because getting 13 miles per gallon the way that one was configured on 33-inch mud terrain tires wasn't cutting it. I was driving almost 1,000 miles a week doing physical therapy in different towns, and I miss it. So whenever I get the chance to drive a current 5th gen 4Runner, I jump at the opportunity because these are a cool truck. But just sitting here idling, it's quiet, it's composed, and when you have to get up to speed even at half throttle, the 5-speed feels solid, doesn't shift hard, and overall the average we're getting is still 16.7, which I've already been in this one for quite a while today. It's had a lot of idle time. But anyways, back to the story. I had a really cool lifted supercharged FJ Cruiser, and currently I drive an Outback Wilderness because it gets about 30 miles per gallon, does 0 to 60 in the low 6s, and is a 5-star crash test rated vehicle. So it meets my needs, still driving between towns, and then my really fun car is a 23 Miata Club. But had I known when I had my FJ Cruiser that the Miata Club would be the funnest car that I've ever driven, and that it could get 40 miles per gallon, I should have kept my FJ Cruiser and I should have bought the Miata as a second car. Instead, I sold the FJ to buy a 2017 Toyota Tacoma 3rd gen Access cab with the 4-cylinder and 5-speed manual because I was about efficiency at the time. I wanted good gas mileage, but also that was a chain-driven engine. It was reliable. It was even square, as in the diameter and the stroke of the pistons were the same. So it was a really good vehicle. And even though my FJ Cruiser never gave me any trouble, I always kind of had the concern that something could go wrong with how much I used it, how much I drove it, and having all the goodies and the add-ons that it had. But this feels reliable. This feels absolutely solid. Just listen to the door slam. And this only has 2 wipers. The FJ Cruiser had 3. This also has a rear wiper and a sliding glass rear window, which I think it's also been confirmed that that's going to disappear on the 6th generation 4Runner, because under certain speeds, the vehicle, the aerodynamics, the coefficient of drag can pull in the exhaust fumes into the interior, which ignorance is bliss. Not knowing that, I would have been better off. I would have been happier. I'm sure a lot of you guys would as well, but I'm also really disappointed because that's one of the staples of this body-on-frame, Toyota reliable, Japanese assembled, bulletproof SUV. It's not as good as a Wrangler off-road or even the new Bronco, but is it going to outlast both of those combined? Yeah, more than likely. Also, if I haven't already mentioned, this one's a 2018. The dealership's asking $33. I'll link it below because Twin Falls Chevy is a great dealer to work with. And if you guys like the 4Runner, you like old school trucks, or you like my video, please consider liking my video. That small act of kindness really goes a long way, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys. But also comment below your thoughts and opinions on the 5th gen 4Runner, and if you're excited for the new turbo 4-cylinder option, or if you're sad to see this one go. But so far, driving this around, I'm having a lot of fun. And it seriously handles so well. Without these being oversized tires, it does feel better on the road. It feels a little bit punchier than the 3-inch lifted 33-inch tire Army Green one that I reviewed and have a few videos of from before. This one just feels better. And honestly, when I was walking up to this one, when I decided I want to be selfish today, I want to drive this 4Runner for me because I just really like this platform. I would have assumed that these tires were probably 32s or 33s, which I know a 32 is hardly bigger than the factory tire at 31.5 or 31.6. But honestly, they're the factory size, 265/70/17. And having not driven this back-to-back with a bone stock factory tire, which unfortunately the spare tire in the back is a stock tire, at least it'll fit. You know, it's the same diameter as these, but it's not going to look good if you have to drive out of wherever you've been off-roading or getting a flat tire with one of those. But honestly, this feels a lot better on the road. It feels more controllable. It turns in well, turns in pretty sharp for what it is, for a body on frame. And there's not excessive body roll, which is something I usually criticize full-size trucks for, because they look cool, but honestly, they're unpleasant to drive. They handle like crap, and they can barely take corners at 10 miles an hour. This actually going 60 down the road right now feels really good. It feels so stable. And honestly, for $33,000, I kind of want to take this one home. But what do you guys think? How many of you guys are buying one of the last of the 2024 4Runners? Or if you own any of the 5th gen since they came out in 2010, even though it's really the same 1GR type of engine that came out 10 years earlier than that even? What are your thoughts on this? And what kind of mileage are you getting? I know that's the number one issue, and I guess if you're someone who saves your pennies and you want one of these, maybe wait till gas prices jump up next and there's a rush of people to sell these. You could probably find a better deal on one then. Right now, while 87 octane is lower than $3 a gallon in my area, or depending on which gas station you go to, it's up to about $3. These aren't going to be that expensive to drive. Having around a 23-gallon tank is nice. Unfortunately, the 2024 Toyota Tacoma lost 3 gallons to its tank. It no longer has a 21-gallon tank, but it only has like an 18-gallon tank from what I recall reading about, which is sad, which is depressing. This old school feeling SUV that you can still buy today, it's a dying breed, and I like it. But let me show you what it does 0 to 60. 0 to 60 in the 4Runner, traction control is off. I'm just gonna go off of idle. I'm not gonna do a 4-high brake rev launch because it's not worth risking over twisting the drive shaft, because with these oversized wheels and tires, they're not gonna break loose even with traction control off, I'm sure. So keep in mind though, density altitude's 3,600 feet. So this engine is only making about 240 peak engine horsepower, being down on power about 10%. Anyways, let's see what it can do. Sounds good. And at the top of second gear, 0 to 60 true time came in at 9.45 seconds. I'm not surprised, and honestly anything under 10 for this type of vehicle really isn't that bad. And overall, as I have to head back and drop this one off in case someone wants to buy it, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I really like it. And I wish these were going to be around for a few more years as we kind of see the change in basically every vehicle, even Toyota. They're all going to little 4 cylinders or 6 cylinders with 1 to 2 turbos. and there's just not the confidence that people have anymore. Toyota historically has had a lot of big, dumb V6s and V8s. Like, for example, when the iForce 5.7 Tundra came out back in 06 or 07, that thing was pretty stout. It didn't get good mileage, but it was stout and powered, made 100 horse more than the 5.3 liter Chevy. And then over the time, over the 14 years or whatever that Toyota had that out, it became a pig at that point. It wasn't the most powerful, and it still got bad gas mileage. But, an 07 is probably as reliable as the 2021, the last year of that. Same thing with these 1GR 4 liters. They're dang reliable. The engine's been out for 20 years. It only makes, 270 peak horsepower for a 4 liter. So this engine doesn't have high compression. It's not overstressed. And these are so well known to go for several 100,000 miles with nothing more than, basic oil changes. Maybe protect your frame if you buy one new or if you buy one used. Check that out to make sure it doesn't rust away, because that is a problem that some states that use a lot of salt and get a lot of snow have. But overall, guys, this has been a really fun vehicle to drive. I strongly recommend you take one out. Go test drive one, whether new or used. They're gonna basically feel the same. These are a fantastic vehicle. And if any of you guys are still listening, just know that I had a lot of fun making this. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you found it helpful. Check out that FJ Cruiser. Mine was silver, but I love seeing those things around. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Take care.